a few years back, I've got to mention this. You had this viral moment. It was the most viral moment I've ever seen anyone have. Even more viral than a moment I've just had. I think, well, much more, I'd say.
Yeah.
You can grow concrete.
Yes.
What were you actually saying?
Fantastic. Well, do you know, it's funny the way it all panned out was that basically I was covering for Julie Hartley-Brewer. She was away.
Oh.
And so I was doing breakfast, which I didn't really enjoy in those days because I thought, one, it's not my show. Two, I can't go to bed before 10 o'clock. I'm not a child, you know, and I have to get up at like 4. I was like, Anyway, I had a pretty strong rule that I didn't talk to any of these bozos from any of these organisations like Insulate Britain or, you know, Just Stop Oil or whatever it was that was going, Extinction Rebellion, because a lot of people used to love getting them on the show. And just, you know, having to go at them, shouting at them, having a ridiculous argument. I just thought, I don't think that's very good TV. I just think it's kind of idiotic. And, you know that...
It is good TV.
It can be if it's done well.
But it is idiotic as well.
Well, it can be if it's done well.
Okay.
But if you, like everything, if you do it too much,
yeah,
you know, then it's kind of like, okay, here comes the row.
So Piers Morgan.
Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, Piers is a friend of mine. Yeah. He does it very well. Yeah. But I'm not always a fan of how he does it and how often he does it, you know?
Because he's like, yeah, well, I don't mind the Jerry Springer comparison.
Yeah. No, he doesn't care. No, Piers is incredibly successful at what he does. And so, you know, good luck to him. But I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I came in the morning and unlike my show, which used to be, I was much more involved in, you know, the guests that I had on my mid-morning show, they were more used to having a different sort of format. So they would book the guests. And blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so it turned out they booked this guy, the carpenter, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I don't usually talk to these people. And they were like, oh, do you want us to cancel it? And I was like, well, I suppose not. I said, but here's what I'm going to do. I'll get him on for like a really short period of time, then I'll just cut him off, you know, and we'll do it that way, right? So that was the plan. And that's kind of what happened. But I was actually not feeling very well. I think I had a bit of a cold as well. So I was feeling a bit sort of glug-headed, you know. And he was, you know, he was quite funny in a way when I said to him, you know, somebody on TikTok just revamped the whole conversation, if you've seen it, but there's this one comedian who's playing like both parts. It's just completely as if it's very weird. My kids showed it to me. They were like, I've seen this.
That's funny.
So when he said, well, you can't grow concrete, I just went, yeah, you can. I didn't really think about it. I just went, yeah, you can. And then I sort of stood and stared at the screen for a bit. And I just went, cheerio, Cameron. And that was it, you know. And I didn't think anything of it, right? And
so you were you just being just like, I can't be bothered with this? I'm just
pretty much.
Say, yeah, you can.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Because I didn't want to have a conversation with him. I didn't want him to be there telling me all about how we really need to insulate our house. I don't care, you know. If you're going to glue yourself to stuff, you know, I'm not really interested in talking to you. So it was very much a throwaway moment on a sort of 3.5-hour show. And then we finished it. And I think I was going to film something shortly thereafter downstairs. And I came out of the show and it was like 40,000 on Twitter. And I went, no, that's not bad. And then I went and filmed, I think it was Plank of the Week or something I was filming. Right. Came out of that and it was 1 million. And I went, Christ, that's quite good. and then I came back upstairs and my boss was there. He's going, this is great. He said, you know, there are some people, you know, in the building who want us to like cancel it because, you know, they think it makes you look really stupid. And I went, well, I don't care. I mean, why would you pretend? I said, even it's out now anyway. If you try and kill it, it will look like we're ashamed of it or something.
Yeah,
right?
It's worse, yeah.
So I was like, I'm fine with it, you know. And then we kind of just built on it. And then I went into Jeremy Cole, I think that afternoon, and said, you know, well, of course, you know, concrete can grow. I mean, it turns out actually it can. Which is the really funny part about it, that there are people actually creating bio-concrete, you know.
Right.
But then I started talking about things like, you know, economies grow, you know, would you say an economy can grow? Would you? You know, and doing all this stuff around it. And it's still, even now, I get people coming up to me going, you're the concrete guy. You know, Gary Lineker actually did it. I mean, he blocked me a long time ago.
Right.
And he was, less concerned about the fact that I would slag him off and, you know, make him Plank of the Week on a regular basis. And I said to him, you don't care, do you, if I just keep taking the piss out of you and you make millions of pounds a year? What do you care? He's like, I couldn't give a top.
But he still blocked you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because that's what they do.
Well, he cares a bit then, doesn't he?
Well, you would think so.
See, I mute people.
Yeah, muting is better.
Yeah, just don't have to ever, because then they don't get to go, look, he blocked
Which
me.
is what they do, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a badge of honour.
Yeah.
Just mute them.
I mean, I tend to only block people who are really, really horribly abusive. And if they're that horrible, then I'll do it, you know.
It's an interesting, it's a funny thing. I'm sure you must have had a lot of abuse on Twitter in your time. And I've had a lot of that. And it's a funny thing where, like, if you're on Twitter and you see the thing, there's a compulsion firstly to reply because you want to explain yourself. Go, no, hang on, I didn't mean that.
Right.
And also it gets to you. And if you just say to yourself, which I've had to do the last week, I'm just going to get off Twitter.
Right.
I'll have a look in a couple of weeks and won't look at
what I used to be much more sort of aggressive on Twitter than I am now because I'd get stuck into people and, quite often I'd go too far and then I'd get into trouble, and it was like, and so I kind of learned to ignore people, which is what I do now. I just ignore most of the time.
Just ignore it and then mute them all. And
occasionally I'll look up who they're following and who they're followed by, and quite often they're terrible perverts, and so I'll just publish all that and go, maybe you should stick to, the one-handed shandy shuffle, mate, But I mean, I'm very much of the opinion that there's an awful lot of people with more than one account who are people that perhaps we know who are having a go.
91% watching Heretics clips are not subscribed. Quick favor, hit subscribe. Free, takes 2 seconds, and helps us question everything together.